Billy Napier is real close to winning back the entire Florida Gators fan base.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast and Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free reviews of the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Victory Monday. I am Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI.com. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And I know that there's probably someone mad about how I wrote at the beginning. Whatever. That was an incredible win, right? That was an incredible win by the Florida Gators and Billy Napier, and it was just great, right? And I will say this, I disagree with some of the decisions at some point, but like overall, well coached. And I think that there's proof of that being well coached, not just in how guys are playing, because I know that people like to go, oh, they were playing hard. I don't care, honestly. Like I've said, like playing hard's great, but if you're playing hard in losses, it doesn't matter that much. Play hard and wins, which they have been doing these past 2 weeks. However, this week, I feel like Billy Napier took like the next step where we didn't have any real coaching miscues like the usual. Delay of game, burning multiple timeouts unnecessarily, sometimes consecutively, 12 men on the field. Like those things were cleaned up. This was a clean coached football game, and that's important. And I know that there's probably someone right now going, what do you mean he's close to winning back the entire fan base? Like I said, 2.5 minutes ago. But that, I mean, I've said where I stand. I need you to beat LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State. And I know that there's a lot of people that are going to go, oh, Florida State's 2-9 right now, right? That's exactly been an issue throughout these 2.5 seasons for Billy Napier, or these now almost 3 seasons for Billy Napier, is that the consistency has been a problem. It frustrates the hell out of me, but I should say this. Frustrates the hell out of me that he's been doing a really good job of coaching this past month, we'll say. But it frustrates the hell out of me that it took him 2.5 years to figure that one out. That just drives me crazy, because that tells me that he's had it in him the whole time. It's just taken him far too long. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, I guess feeds into when people were like, oh, he was too inexperienced as a head coach to be the head coach here. Learning on the job, seems like he's figured some things out. But again, what he's done in the past month, minus the Texas game, I will say minus the Texas game, because I understand what the expectations were for that Texas game. And I think that was a poorly coached game. I think that was overthinking a bit much. So what he's done the past month, minus the Texas game, if he can do that consistently, getting guys to show up week in and week out, not having back-to-back coaching-caused penalties, not having the back-to-back delay of games, a delay game, then burning a timeout, not doing those things, the 12 men on the field thing, the substitution penalty, not doing those. If he can keep those out, keep guys playing hard as hell, if he can do that consistently with an offensive coordinator hire, we're going to have a conversation about this team making a run in 2025. You've got a lot of youth. You've got a lot of youth that's playing well. You've got some pretty damn good football players that are going to return to Gainesville, and you're going to be pretty active in the portal and high school recruiting for the next, what do we have now? Week and a half, basically. You're going to have an influx of talent. I think this is probably going to be the first season under Billy Napier where there's a clear net gain in talent, where I think there will be a clear, Florida definitely got better this offseason. Where, last season you had Princely left, Trevor Etienne left, Chris McClellan left, who he was supposed to be one of your budding young stars. You lost quite a few guys, right? Lost a few defensive stars. I know a lot of people liked Jaden Hill. You lost a lot of those guys. And people were like, oh, well, this team might be worse talent-wise. That's obviously not true at this point. But I think this is going to be the first time where you look at all the additions and you go, these far outweigh the losses and the departures. And I think you're going to get that this offseason, which, by the way, another thing I was thinking of, because I said, I spent the weekend in a cabin, basically, or not basically, literally, which so happy I was able to go live. But I was thinking about it on the way home. This 2024 recruiting class for the Florida Gators could go down as one of the best recruiting classes that they've had. DJ Lagway looks damn good. He just looks amazing, right? Jaden Ball looks really freaking good right now. DeAndre Robinson, Makai Boyero are playing somewhat significant snaps on the defensive line as true freshmen in the SEC. You've got Gregory Smith has shown promise. Katie Daniels hasn't been healthy. Amir Jackson has a really high ceiling, but we haven't seen him. But LJ McCray, shown some promise, hasn't really played much. Aaron Childs, Miles Graham, you've got some guys that you brought in, and they're making instant impacts as a freshman. And if you can get even some of the other guys to hit, and you can have these freshmen already contributing take the next steps in their development, 2027, 2028, we could be talking about how this 2024 Florida Gators class could have turned the program around and could be one of the best recruiting classes that the University of Florida has brought in a very long time. And I think that's important, especially when we talk about this team gearing up to potentially make a run in 2025. Like I've said, I need Napier to beat Florida State. Beat Florida State. And I know, again, that should be easy, right? And I know there's people that are going, why do you beat LSU, you beat Ole Miss, Florida State's going to be, I get it. Then do it. It shouldn't be, me saying that shouldn't be a problem then, right? And because I know there's other people that feel the same way here. Me saying that shouldn't be a problem. Also, never forget, I picked Florida to win this game. This is the game where I said Florida's winning this game. There's no doubt in my mind about it. I recognize all the things about talent scheme, all that. Sometimes college football needs to go full of WWE and just give you, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. The better story is what's going to happen. And I think that happened this past Saturday in Gainesville. And Florida shaping up to, hey, this could be an 8-win season for the Florida Gators. You beat Florida State, you win your bowl game. This could be an 8-win season. And Florida should have a lot of guys in the bowl game. Florida shouldn't lose a bowl game. Shouldn't. Even if you play a good team, Florida shouldn't lose it because Florida is a really young team. And so a lot of these guys are going to be playing in a bowl game, most likely. You shouldn't lose those games. We will talk more about the Florida Gators beating Ole Miss, ending the Ole Miss Rebel season. Stephen Willis, gotcha. Next on Locked On Gators. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. I had a parlay yesterday. Let me just pull up the screenshot of it because it was beautiful. Right now, new customers, by the way, can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Yesterday, I had a parlay of plus 595 parlay of Michael Pittman Jr. over 42.5 receiving yards, Jatavian Sanders over 21.5 receiving yards, and Tyrone Tracy over 12.5 receiving yards. I mean, that was just the freest money possible. Visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Team Ticker is a one-of-a-kind sports sign for college sports fans. Team Ticker is a 1.5 by 2 foot wall sign that features the Gator logo. Albert's right there. We are looking at Louisville versus Indiana. It is on the part where it is showing their ranked matchups coming up this week. The display is updated daily with fresh content such as countdown to next game, schedule, standings, stats, and news. Super fun and a great way to stay connected for Florida Gators fans. Whether it's football, men's basketball, women's basketball, they got everything here for you right now. And it's beautiful. I love it. We get the stats. I considered putting just the Florida football stats up here and just having that play through the background. Decided not to do it, but you can do that if you want. You could very much personalize what stats you see, what sports you get information on. You could play the fight song if you want at any time you want. That's fine as well. Team Ticker's a one-of-a-kind sports sign, and you don't even need a promo code right now. They have a holiday sale going where you get $50 off your Team Ticker purchase right now. Just go to teamticker.com and go get yourself a Team Ticker sports sign. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free for listen to the podcast and on YouTube. And the Florida Gators offense in this game, I will say that it wasn't great, but you took a few key steps in getting there, and that's important, right? DJ Lagway took a massive step in this game. DJ Lagway took a huge step, and I've been saying, look, DJ Lagway can become a generational football player. He's not yet, but he can become that. And this game that he played on Saturday was that. Like, if he does that week in, week out, he's a generational football player. And he very much has the potential to do that. Okay? He was under pressure on almost half of his dropbacks. He was under pressure. And he handled it great. We've seen the clip. We saw when it happened. The defender wrapped around his waist and he kind of like slides, ducks, gets the ball to Jaquavian Frazier's downfield. He did that again later on, just evading pressure, making a play there. Twice he scrambled for positive yards, picked up just a gain there. And like I said, evaded pressure. But that's not even the most important part, right? Because that's out of structure. And that's where DJ Lagway has always thrived. Okay? Like, again, you look at his Willis tape and he's constantly under pressure. He's making plays. It's scramble drills. It's a whole bunch of crap going on there. And he's making plays. Which I think that now we're kind of seeing a trend of quarterbacks that are really good at that and not so much the in-structure stuff. A Cam Ward, a Caleb Williams, like guys that are really great out of structure and kind of playing like recess football and not doing the in-structure stuff. And DJ Lagway did the in-structure stuff on Saturday. Great. Like, yeah, he had the pick, but like for the most part, great football game he played. It was the step that he took what was there. And that's something that I've been talking about. I've been saying, hey, DJ Lagway needs to take what's there. He's not doing a great job of taking the underneath stuff when it's available. He's looking for the deep shot, and he's not taking what is there. And he's missing on these throws because he's moving around, throwing off platform, and he doesn't need to throw off platform, and things get crazy. Nope. Not what happened this weekend. Not what happened on Saturday. DJ Lagway took what was there. On average, DJ Lagway has 20%. So in any given game, on average, 20% of his passes are going 20-plus yards downfield. Okay? 20% of his passes are deep shots. This week, it was 11%. 2 of his 18 passes. And that's important. Like, that's a good thing. I know a lot of people hate to talk about it and you know, chicks dig the long ball, right? But DJ Lagway was playing against an Ole Miss defense that wasn't going to let him take deep shots, especially because he likes taking those deep shots. So they're like, hey, we're going to play too high. We're going to have coverage deep and not let you take deep shots. And our pass rush is going to get to you by the time you decide to settle for the check down. Pass rush did get to him. They just didn't get him down, and that's important. And he took what was underneath. And again, that can't be overstated. I know that people like to talk about average depth of target being check downs, whatever it may be, right? Patrick Mahomes has the shortest average depth of target in the NFL. and Josh Allen up there as well. When you are a great quarterback, especially when throwing the deep ball, and teams take that away, the next step of greatness is taking the underneath. If they're going to take away the deep ball, kill them with the underneath stuff. And then if they decide to go single high, then you go right back to it. And I think that's an important part of DJ Lagway's development. It's happened now, and that's beautiful. He still has work to do, but he's very much on his way to becoming a generational college quarterback. And that can't be overstated. The rest of the game, I love the run scheme that the Florida Gators went out with this weekend. It was the Kentucky run game, as in the game plan that they used against Kentucky. It was, we're going to run a lot of counter. We're going to run a lot of split zone. We're going to put Austin Barber at tight end and run behind him. They did that against Kentucky. They did that against Tennessee. They did it against Ole Miss here. They've done it somewhat often, but this was the game plan. And this should be the week in, week out game plan. Counter, split zone. And you can run, there's a lot you can do by just hammering counter and split zone as your main schemes, okay? Because you can run GT counter, GH counter. You can run split zone, on the inside. You can run wide. You could do a lot with it, okay? You can run split zone read. You can run counter read. There's a lot. And I'm fairly certain Florida did run counter read in this game. I don't know if DJ made the wrong read, but play got blown up. So I don't know who he was supposed to read on it. But they've had that right, and that needs to be the consistent game plan, okay? That run game needs to be your consistent game plan. That's when Florida's at their best. That's when Jaden Baugh is at their best, or at his best. That's when Montrell's at his best. That's when Jacoby's at his best. That needs to be your run game. And they did a really good job of building off of it, by the way. They had a couple times where they ran counter blocking, but it was play action pass. And they did, and it worked. You could do a lot with that as your run game. Florida really needs to key in on that, because if you have that as your run game, good luck. You're done. College players, they're done. They're just not as good at picking up things like that. That's why you see guys struggle so much. They're not as good as picking up things like that. You need to keep going. Okay? Receivers, Elijah Badger, the truth. This is it. He's the truth. When he committed, we talked about him. I was like, hey, he could be a 1,000-yard receiver. I don't know if he will be. I'll say that. I don't know if he will be. He's 222 yards away with Florida State game remaining and a potential bowl game. So he needs to average 111 yards over the FSU game and the bowl game. And I say potential bowl game because, yes, Florida's bowl bound. We don't know for a fact that Elijah Badger will be playing in a bowl game, especially because he's put out a lot of good film this year. So I don't know. But I will say Elijah Badger is really freaky. I thought he would be really good. Yeah, he's better than I thought he'd be. He's balling. Just absolutely balling. Great vertical threat. You saw he caught a pop pass. They did the little sweep and they popped it to him. Something that we haven't really seen from Florida. They haven't done that nearly enough. It was great. He played a damn good game. He's played a lot of damn good games. And he's going to be an NFL player. He's going to be a Sunday player. No doubt in my mind. And for Badger, that's coming to Florida if you're an Arizona State wide receiver. Wink, wink. Coming to Florida from Arizona State, that's a pretty good business decision. That's all I'm saying. If anyone else wants to consider that, just saying. Man, the chemistry that he has with DJ Lagway, it's also crazy because Graham Mertz was the starting quarterback. I don't know if it's because while Elijah Badger was picking up the playbook, he was working with the twos. And so I don't know if that's why they were hey, they've got great chemistry or whatever it may be, but it's working. It's working. And speaking of what's working, the defense working lately. We'll talk about them next on Locked On Gators. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching for thousands of tickets. And Florida Gators, bowl bound. Maybe. We don't have a bowl yet, obviously, but maybe you want to go catch tickets to see them play. Wherever you live in the country, there's a chance that you're within a few hours of a bowl game that Florida Gators might play in, which is pretty cool. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time, baby. Thanks for being Locked On Gators, your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. And the Florida Gators defense did their job. And you can't start talking about this defense, especially in recent weeks, without talking about Caleb Banks. Because that man... Okay, here's the thing with Caleb Banks. And I just need to talk about this because I know people keep tweeting now about him being a first-round pick. These past two games, first-round pick quality film, okay? First-round pick quality film, first-round pick quality production. Dominated once again. He's got 15 pressures over the past 2 weeks. The thing is, prior to these past two games, 12 total pressures on the season. That's where I get torn up about the first round talk. I think he's worked himself into day two. But the first round talk for me is just a little early, a little premature there. So we'll see what happens. He can come back if he chooses to. He's going to, of course, submit a grade to the NFL Draft Advisory Board, I would assume, and he will wait for those responses. Myles Graham. We know he's not entering the draft. True freshman. Balled the hell out. Just balled out. And he made what might have been the most impactful non-highlight play. And by highlight play, I mean in terms of no pick, no fumble, not a sack. He might have made the most impactful play there where it was the first quarter. It might have been the first drive. But Ole Miss, they do what they usually do, which JJ Pegues is a defensive tackle. He also comes in as a running back and wildcat quarterback every now and then, and he runs the ball, right? JJ Pegues, going into this game, had not been stopped a single time. Not one time was he stopped from converting a first down or a touchdown. Myles Graham, the first time they ran it with JJ Pegues on 4th and 1, first off, idiotic call. I hate how often they brought in JJ Pegues and ran like a sweep. But they did, and Myles Graham lit him up. Like shoulder to the back. Because for some reason JJ Pegues like turned. Shoulder to the back. Stopped him short. First time all season he was stopped short. First time. Florida did it 2 more times after that. And look, I understand there's a lot of people that feel very iffy about Lane Kiffin using JJ Pegues as a ball carrier. I understand that, yeah, most defensive tackles probably not good for that, but it's something that they found an incredible amount of success with this season, and Florida made sure they did not find an incredible amount of success with it this season, and that's really impressive. It was really impressive to watch Florida defend JJ Pegues. Because that was the thing that nobody done. Not a single time. Georgia didn't stop him at all. Like that's the thing. It's not just that Florida stopped him once, it's that nobody had stopped him, and Florida stopped him 3 times. That's the really impressive part of it. Like that, truly, that's the really impressive part of it. One time it was Cam Jackson making a great play there. No one had stopped it until Florida, and Florida stopped it 3 times. And it's not like it was like, oh yeah, they do it. They've done it one time. Like he was, I think, 12 for 12, and then Florida stopped them. Florida's defense did exactly what they needed to do, and that's why Florida won this game. Like I want to say, like, and again, I wasn't trying to bash the offense. I said the offense had some issues before. Florida's offense wasn't amazing in this game, right? Yeah, you scored 24 points. Yeah, that's one of the highest point totals that Ole Miss has allowed this entire season, but that's because they hadn't allowed a lot. You were outscored by Arkansas and LSU. Okay, you scored 4 more points than Kentucky did. You scored 10 more than Oklahoma did. Scored 14 more than Georgia did. This wasn't an amazing game by the Florida Gators offense, right? You were +2 in the turnover margin, and you only scored 4 more than Kentucky did. And Florida's offense did not sustain a ton of drives. But their defense did what they needed to do. The Florida Gators defense did what they needed to do. They turned this game into kind of a rock fight, and you made Ole Miss beat you without being able to be flashy, without being able to light you up. And here's the thing. To start the game, Florida was not playing like that. Or sorry, the first drive, Florida played like that. And then after that, you had the Trey Harris long touchdown. There was another long touchdown. Like just a couple things piled up. There was one play where I think it was the Trey Harris touchdown where I think Florida was in cover 4. And so Deshaun Johnson was playing his assignment, Bryce Thornton his assignment, and Bryce Thornton blew his assignment. And they scored a touchdown there, and it was like, oh, things could get a bit rough here. Luckily, they didn't. There was the other touchdown on the post where things could have gotten rough, and they didn't. And Florida bounced back. They did what they've done a lot this season, of bounce back. Which is, again, a further testament to a lot of the guys that were here last year. I've said it before. I think last year, the South Carolina game was their turning point, where they came back from late in the game while they were down. They came back and won that game on the road, too. And that was the game where I said, I feel like Florida figured out something internally of getting punched in the mouth, having people doubt you, and come back from that. And that's carried over to this season as well. But I think that game changed them, and now they're more willing and accepting of, yeah, let's get punched in the mouth and let's go right back at them. But with Florida and Ole Miss, you made it messy and made Ole Miss come down to your level that way. And I said, while previewing the game, I forgot what day I said it on, but while previewing the game, I was like, hey, I don't think Jackson Dart does a very good job of needing to go through multiple reads. Because I don't. I think that when you, and similar to defending Garrett Nussmeier, I think when you don't need to blitz the lights out of him, but you just kind of you disguise your coverages and you make him think and make him second guess there, I think that's where you run into, hey, he's throwing a pick. Hey, he's making a mistake. Like, it wasn't a ton of any individual thing. It was strictly Florida did what they needed to do. They brought him down to another level, and they made him earn these things. And he's not good at earning them. I think he's a very good quarterback at executing Lane Kiffin's offense. But the thing is, when you take away parts of the Lane Kiffin offense, when you take away the RPOs a lot, and when you take away being able to just create explosives out of nowhere, Jackson Dart struggles. And he had quite a few ugly plays. And some that he kind of got away with, right? I mean, we had the pick called back, but there were other things as well where he just played awful. And that's what it was. It was playing good coverage and eventually the pressure getting there. Like that is playing complementary defense. It's not, oh, hey, you've got a good pass rush, but crappy coverage. It's not, oh, hey, you've got great secondary, but crappy pass rush. Nope. Complementary. It was your defense, your coverage is playing well. Your pass rush is playing well. Not elite at either level, but I think they're playing well together. And that makes this defense, when they're doing that, really good. The issue, of course, is that Florida allows explosives at certain points, and there's times where they're on the field far too often, far too long. This is another game where Florida had less plays offensively than their opponent. But you made Ole Miss play a rough, ugly game. And Ole Miss isn't going to win those games frequently. And that's what you did. Like, you deserve a round of applause, pat on the back, whatever the hell it is you want. You deserve it because you did what you needed to do. It was never going to be, oh, hey, if this is a high-scoring game, Florida's probably going to win. I don't think it was ever going to be that. It was always, and we talked about this on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You make this an ugly game, and that's your best chance of winning, and that's what Florida did. You blow out Florida State, I'm all the way back in, baby. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free wherever in the podcast and on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk more Florida Gators. Maybe we'll be back later. Who knows? For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI, and I will see you all next time.